Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor Masterclass. This is a platform where we learn from the best. These individuals are pioneers and change makers whose vision and leadership provides teaching moments and inspiration. Joining us today is qualified therapist Charlotte Kudzai Sibanda. Enjoy this masterclass.
My name is Charlotte Kudzai Sibanda. I am a qualified therapist and this is my masterclass. So in my high school years, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to become. At one point, I wanted to be a dentist, and then at another point, I wanted to be a chemical engineer, and then I also wanted to be a pharmacist. So I discovered physiotherapy when it was actually time for me to choose a degree program. So having found out about this physiotherapy, I then looked for a qualified therapist who then helped me with explaining what physiotherapy was. I didn't fully understand it at the time, but I still went on to choose to study physiotherapy. So physiotherapy is a 4-year degree course in school and then a 1-year internship. So in the 4 years, the first year, you actually study anatomy and physiology as the foundation of the program. And in the second year, you look at physiotherapy in cardiopulmonary conditions, as well as obs and gynecology. And in the third year, you look at physiotherapy in sports-related injuries, as well as orthopedics. And in the fourth year, you look at physiotherapy in neurology, pediatrics, as well as community-based health or community-based rehabilitation. What really pulled me in terms of selecting physiotherapy and then choosing to become a physiotherapist was realizing that it's a satisfying job. It's a job where you're dealing with people, helping people. You get to understand people because the core of the profession is actually love for the people. And also it's very exciting because you have to keep up with recent trends because there's new technologies and new stuff being introduced in the field. So every day is not the same. It's not as if you're going through the motions, but it's always different. With each patient, you're learning something and you're also learning different things in different fields. So during the year that you actually go for internship, you cover different fields under the supervision of a qualified physiotherapist. So basically they guide you because now you're coming from school fresh with knowledge, and then they guide you in terms of practicing physiotherapy in a health setting or in a hospital. So in my internship year, I was quite lucky because I went to Borrowed Trauma Center where I had a bit of experience in terms of ICU, outpatients, and different fields. And I was also quite lucky in the sense that I had to be responsible for duties like administration and documentation when I was at that private practice. So during the course in the 4-year program, there are attachments or what we call placements that you do, and then you go to different hospitals, government hospitals, where you actually cover certain blocks. So for example, when we were doing physiotherapy in cardiopulmonary conditions, I was placed at Bindra Hospital, and then from Bindra Hospital I also went to Paringatwa Hospital. So at this hospital you get to actually meet patients and you get to help them. And what that helped with is that I could see that the patients sometimes were also quite grateful, which was quite encouraging for me because then I started to realize that it's a job where you're actually helping people and it's very satisfying. The other places that I actually went for my placements were Motoko Hospital. I also went to St. Giles for my neurology block, and I also went to Harare Hospital. I think sometimes the issues or the challenges that I actually faced when we're going on placements at times wouldn't have adequate supervision. So you had to be proactive in terms of your learning. So if you were going to be covering a certain ward and you would realize that there wasn't a therapist that was going to be accompanying you, then you had to be proactive in terms of going there, reading up on certain conditions, and just taking action in terms of your own learning process. So in terms of my high school education, I went to Westridge High School, and I always enjoyed science subjects, particularly chemistry. So it was a bit obvious to me that I'll do sciences at A level. So I ended up doing chemistry, maths, and biology. So the challenges that I sometimes face as a physiotherapist is meeting people that are not really sure what physiotherapy is or what the profession could actually offer for them. And that's just generally because people are not really aware what physiotherapy is. I am a registered therapist, and physiotherapy is a profession that can help people restore, maintain, and improve their health being and quality of life. So basically, physiotherapists are movement therapists or movement scientists that use a variety of treatment techniques to help improve people's quality of lives as well as their independence and functionality. So the treatment techniques can vary from manual therapy, electrical therapy, and we can even do aquatic therapy. Last year, I decided to start doing sports massage. Of course, sports massage is a different thing from physiotherapy. Massage is usually a facet of one of our manual therapy techniques. So I decided to start doing for sports massage for CrossFit athletes, and I found that I actually enjoyed it. And now my day is usually filled with physiotherapy clients as well as sports massage clients. So with sports massage, I usually get people that come in with different conditions, from athletes to people that come in with just lower back pain or pain in certain regions, or people that just feel that their muscles are a bit stiff. So my day usually starts at about 5 a.m. I wake up and then I go to the gym, and then from gym I go straight to work and have breakfast and then start seeing my patients. So in a day I would see an average of about 9 to 10 patients, and usually there would be a bit of physio patients and sports massage patients. So the most common cases that I would say I see would be back pain and sports related injuries. So I think that in terms of actually bridging the gap in terms of awareness of our profession with the community, there is need to actually do a lot of outreach programs where we get to meet people and interact with the community and let them know what physiotherapy would do or help them. So physiotherapy basically helps in a lot of fields. So for example, if you'd have someone coming in and they're complaining of back pain, what physiotherapy does is it takes a holistic approach. We don't just look at someone's symptoms, but rather we treat the whole person as a whole. We try and look at their lifestyle, we look at the kind of work that they do. If they're going to be spending a lot of time sitting, could it be the seating posture that could have been causing the back pain, or if they're going to be doing a job where they're actually lifting a lot of heavy things, and see if we can actually educate them on lifting techniques. So it takes a holistic approach in terms of treatment, and most of the techniques that we use are actually evidence-based. So by evidence-based, I mean that there's a lot of research that has been done that supports those kind of modalities and the effectiveness of those modalities to help people. And also with physiotherapy, we try and break down the recurrence of whatever condition that one would have come with. So if you were coming in with back pain and we realized that it was more work related, then we would do work adaptations that would actually help with your well-being, and also that back pain would also reduce. So the idea of opening my own private practice grew when I actually worked for a young physiotherapist who had opened her own practice soon after internship. So that, I think, removed the fear and doubt, because I always knew that I wanted to work for myself and control my time. And when I worked for this young lady, then I was able to learn how to successfully run a private practice on your own. And when I opened my own private practice, it was during the pandemic. So it was a bit difficult in terms of actually acquiring the resources that are needed to start a properly equipped practice. So coming from a situation where I had a paycheck every month, I was going into a situation where I wasn't even sure if I would have income or even if I would have any patients. So my first private practice was at Borodo Medical Center, and in terms of actually building capital, it was a bit difficult. So what I would do is, with the few patients that I would see, I would save up the money and then try and buy the equipment bit by bit until I had a fully equipped room. So a general setup of a physio room would have an exercise mat, obviously a plinth where you'd have to operate on with the patient, and then you'd have to have physio bowls. If you're going to be actually doing a lot of exercises, you'd have to have simple things like goniometers that you use to actually measure your range of motion, and other small equipment like your stethoscope if you're going to be seeing a lot of chest patients. Physiotherapy has taught me to be a good listener, to pay attention to detail. So generally that's something you learn in the medical field, even if you're working in any other profession. You learn to be a good listener because you have to pay attention to the little details that are relayed to you by your client or your patient. It has also taught me to be a good communicator, because in order for my patient to understand the prognosis of the condition, to understand my treatment techniques, I have to communicate well with them and explain to them what I'm about to do. It has also taught me to be empathetic. So trying to understand what my patient is going through helps me understand how best I can actually help them. At times, it might not be necessary for me to be the one who's actually treating them, but just referring them to someone that I know would be able to help them best. That for me is something that I have learned, and it has also taught me to persevere. So for example, when I started the practice during the pandemic, I had to actually go to work every day, despite knowing that I might not have any clients that day. So generally, the public or the community doesn't really understand what physiotherapy is. So one of the misconceptions on physiotherapy is that people think that physiotherapists are simply massage therapists, but massage is actually a facet of the treatment techniques that we do. So it's not really based on massage, but rather there is use of knowledge on anatomy and the physiology of the human body. And there's so many other treatment techniques that physiotherapists use to actually treat different conditions. So I'm turning 28 this year, and my advice to young people that would be considering physiotherapy is look for mentors in the profession, people that are actually passionate about the field, and those people will actually teach you what physiotherapy is, and they'll help you understand the fields that are involved in physiotherapy. Also, physiotherapy is a very exciting profession because it keeps you on your feet. You're always up to date with recent trends, recent technologies, and new stuff that is being released in the industry. So in order to keep up with the recent technologies, you obviously have to put in the hard work. So what I try and do is I usually dedicate about 45 minutes to an hour every day that I just look at different conditions and new things that are evidence-based that actually help with treating certain conditions, and also with the tools that physios are actually using now. So with physiotherapy, the sky is the limit. It just depends with where you want to be or what field really interests you. There's so many opportunities in physiotherapy. In terms of the money and them, private therapists would make a bit more than government therapists. But when you look at the setup, like in the UK, therapists that would be working under the NHS would be making a bit more than those that work in the private sector. So it just depends with where you are and what you want to do. So it's just about finding out what works for you, because there's so many opportunities in the fields, because physiotherapy can literally fit in any medical field. What physiotherapy has done for me is that it has opened up my eyes in terms of seeing what I could become. So the next big thing for me, the vision that I have for myself, is to actually become a medical entrepreneur. That means being involved in the medical, in the business side of the medical field. So I would like to start an industry where I would be making rehabilitation or assistive devices that will help a lot of people. So not just selling them, but making them from scratch. So the book that has actually impacted my life is The Practicing Mind, which was written by Thomas Denner. It's one of my favorite books because it helped me in terms of making decisions and just setting my goals and thinking about the process or the visualization part of achieving those goals. So the author talks about our goals being like a rudder on a boat that actually provides direction. And my own personal interpretation of the book is that when I have a goal or when I have a big idea, it's almost like it's light at the end of the tunnel. So it's almost as if I'm trapped. I'm trapped to actually execute that particular idea or that particular goal. So I then take a step back and realize or try and see what steps I can take to actually achieve that goal. Not just the steps, but also obstacles and challenges that I could face, and visualizing the challenges that I could face when trying to achieve my goal helps me by mentally preparing my mind. So it's almost as if I would have tricked my mind to think that when that problem happens in reality, the brain will then say that we've been here before and we can actually overcome this. We've done this way. And that will help me make decisions with a calm mind and a calm spirit without being anxious. The other book that has helped me, which I read when I was still in university, is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So that book talks about how success is based on personality ethic. So for me, because I didn't really understand what physiotherapy was, it helped me to actually understand that I needed to change my attitude. So I had to put in the work in terms of actually understanding what the profession was and trying to discover what I would want to do after I graduated in terms of the field that I would want to work in. And the other book that has also helped me is The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. So it talks about just having a countdown, a 5-second countdown, and then you just do what you have to do. So you don't have to think about it, you just do. So that has helped me in terms of not procrastinating or just putting things aside and thinking I'll do it some other time, but rather being proactive in making my decisions when trying to reach a certain goal.
That was an inspirational masterclass from a young 28-year-old Charlotte Sibanda, who's already set up her own private practice. For me, I think the key takeaways are the following: the importance of mentors for young people, and secondly, the importance of career guidance as a way of exposing our young people to the variety of careers that are out there, and the determination that we saw from Charlotte about envisioning an idea and working hard towards its realization. I hope you enjoyed the masterclass the way I did. Remember to subscribe, to like and share, and to visit our website where there's a lot of great content for you. Until next time, cheers to you all.